that her responsibility is not the same as her sister's responsibility. Now she has a brother. So now, as far as heirship is concerned, he now takes on the sole responsibility because he's the male. The male supersedes, okay, the female, because all of the males must be dedicated to the father. Now, again, we're not excluding the women. Shammai, your situation is different, totally different. And this is the reason why the firstborns got their inheritance. You're the example. Your responsibility that the father has is different for you. Totally different. You're like the playmaker. If you were to do anything wrong, the consequences can be much more severe because, again, you're set apart. That's who you are. You're set apart. This is the reason why I have to keep stressing the point, is that when these, I think it was 5 women, it might have been 7, when these women found out that they didn't have, they had asked Moses about their inheritance, because they deserve, or they're supposed to have an inheritance. Me and Mashiyach, we talk a lot. We talk a whole lot. I said, listen, you know what? There's so much more that I would like to have done or do for my daughter because she's a firstborn. Meaning now is that it is the mother and the father's responsibility to give you an inheritance because you're the firstborn. Yeah, just how it works in Israel. Where's my inheritance? I mean, even Laban's daughters, they say, hey, listen, you know what? Be going with you, Jacob, because you have everything. You got the inheritance. And so this is how the tribes worked. This is how we kept the family structure together. Firstborns were very, very important. Now watch this. We're going to read some history here a little bit. Redemption of the firstborn is one of the ceremonies still practiced today amongst Jewish people and certain other Middle Eastern groups. Watch this now. According to Leo his name is Leo, L-E-O, of Modena, M-O-D-E-N-A, redemption is performed in this manner. When the child is 30 days old, the father sends for one of the descendants of Aaron, which is a Levite. Several persons being assembled on the occasion, the father brings a cup containing pieces of gold and silver coins. The priest then takes the child in his arms. The priest addresses himself to the mother. All right, very important. To the mother, and says, is this your son? Or if this is a daughter, is this your daughter? Because we're talking about the firstborn here. Is this your son? The mother says, yes. Prayerfully. She hasn't been cheating around or anything like that. All right, so is this your son? The mother says, yes. The priest then says, have you ever had another child, male or female, a miscarriage or abortion or untimely birth? The mother says, no. The priest then says, this being the case, this firstborn child belongs to me, which is the priest. All right? Then turning to the father, he says, which is the priest, if it be your desire to have this child, you must redeem it. The father says, I present you with this gold and silver for this purpose of redemption. The priest says, you do wish to redeem this child. The father says, I do. The priest then says to the assembly, very well. The firstborn child is now the parents by redemption. And this is the reason why I wanted to go through now the whole process now of the value of now the children of the people. 50 shekels, 10 shekels, 15 shekels, 5 shekels. We want to go through the whole thing there. So there is redemption. Anybody ever remember reading the story? You might have, because you read a lot of the Apocryphal books on Yahuah time, where the messengers came to Adam because Adam was supposed to have been given the firstborn, his firstborn son, to the messengers. And Adam and the messengers got into this big argument, and where they actually brought back Adam's firstborn son. I think it was at the time it It was Seth, it brought Seth back to him, but it was the responsibility, even way back then, is that the firstborns now was supposed to have been taken and dedicated now for temple services. So when we see now Hannah going through what she went through, dedicating Samuel now as a, we're going to go to that. Exodus, we already read that. Oh, here it is. Watch this again. I almost missed it. And it came to pass when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, and Yahuah said, Yahuah slew all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to Yahuah all that opened the matrix being males, but all the firstborns of my children I redeemed. Nobody believes when we see the word sacrifice that the children were now to be burned alive. That's not, because it says sacrifice here. But the word sacrifice only means here now, in this situation, to be dedicated now towards the services of the Father. But I just wanted to share that with the Mishpachah and everything like that about how important it is for the firstborn. What is the responsibility of the firstborn? We're all very, very important. But what's going on, once you're called into this walk, your job and your mission is not like anybody else's. The Father's called you, set apart from the rest, from your family, and it's now your responsibility to uphold the law. And in ending Mishpachah, we have the vow that Jephthah made. We go to Judges 11th chapter. I'm just going to read it down, and then we should be finished. And so I'm going to say this before I get started. I still hold to the fact that Jephthah did not burn his daughter. That is a practice of, we have a whole Molech, we have all those guys that are going to the board. That is the demonic practice. That is something that the heathens did. And the Father said that even came into his mind to even do human sacrificing. Now watch this now. We have in verse 30, 11 and 30, Jephthah vowed unto Yahuah and said, if thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it should be that whatsoever cometh forth of my doors of my house to meet me, then I will turn in peace from the children of Ammon, and shall surely be Yahuah's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. Now, in order to do a burnt offering, remember this, it has to be an acceptable offer. Number one, like we had talked about last week, there are no instructions on how to sacrifice a human. This is something that's involved with Molech, Teraphim, all these, this is something that the other nations did. So the question now becomes what would then happen now if a dog would have came through the front door? Do we now offer a dog? Imagine this. You've been working, you've been working all day. You went on a journey, all right, and you returned safely from your journey. And you said, oh, wow, Father, the first thing that walks through my door, I'm going to sacrifice it to the Father. Okay? Shemai, you come through the door. All right? You say, all right, listen, we're going to have to now sacrifice Shemai to Yahuah Elohim. It's now your responsibility, knowing Torah. Hey, baby, listen, you know what? Where did you find that out in Torah? Where is that at? The worst case scenario, what I'm trying to share here is that if Jephthah did sacrifice his daughter, it was not to Yahuah Elohim at all. The Father would not accept it. Just would not do it. This was a practice of the other nations. It was brought out that, well, maybe Jephthah actually did sacrifice his daughter because he was of the tribe of Manasseh. Remember we read about the first king of his name. He was from the tribe of Manasseh, and he was king starting at 12 years old, and he reigned for 55 years, and he was involved in human sacrificing. I'm trying to give Jephthah the benefit of the doubt here because it talked about he was a man of stature, a man of honor. He knew the Father. He knew him. And the Father granted him this reward where he was able to return from the battle. And so what do we do now? So I'm going to read on and finish it up, and we'll be done. So Jephthah passed over the children of Israel, over the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Father delivered the Ammonites into his hand. I'm going to read on down. Verse 35. verse 34. And Japheth came to Mizpah, into his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child. Besides her, she had neither son nor daughter. Who was Japheth's daughter supposed to marry to keep their inheritance going? Because he didn't have a son. Anybody know?
Well, she wouldn't have married her brother, but it was one of her cousins from his brothers.
Japheth's brother's sons. Hallelujah. And it came to pass when he saw her that he rent his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low. Thou art one of them that troubled me, for I opened my mouth into Yahuah, and I cannot go back. And she said unto him, Watch this now, my father, if thou hast opened thy mouth into Yahuah, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth. For as much as Yahuah hath taken vengeance for you on thy enemies of the children of Ammon. Watch this now, real carefully. And she said unto her father, Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains to bewail my virginity. Again, she said unto her father, Let this thing be done for me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity. Not her death, her virginity. I and my fellows. And she said, and he said, Go, and he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And watch this now, and it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed. And she knew no man, and it was a custom in Israel. So, if Japheth now is going to perform and do the vow, can anybody tell me in verse 39 what was the vow? Or do you see, or is it just me? Is 39 explaining what the vow was? That she would know no man. It was about virginity. Unless I'm missing something here. Now, the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Japheth, the Gilead, 4 days in a year. Look up that word lament. It is usually meant, people think that it means to cry and to mourn. But if you look up the word lament here, it means to rejoice. To rehearse. So, it ended. If Japheth killed his daughter, he burnt her up, and he's going to make it a commandment that Abad, Yahuah, Moriel Yahu, okay, we have Zakar, myself, and we have our chief elder here. Your responsibility now is every year to send your daughter now to memorialize the dead burning of your daughter. This is supposed to be done in the name of Yahuah. You're going to send your daughter to participate in these chants, these seances now, to commemorate the burning of your daughter. Let me share one more thing with you. They made mention now in the story of Molech that there was so much dancing, women playing what do you call them, the tambourines and things like that. And the reason why the music was so loud, because they had to blind out or blot out now the screams and the cries of the babies. So they had to play the drums real loud. You have to make it louder and louder and louder, because they made mention of that the arms that that Molech had, it was burning hot, and the fire was so hot at some points now is that even the parents now would catch like certain degrees of burns as it was actually now putting the babies now on these hot hands. And so I just found it interesting now. Just put yourself there. The music is playing, or the drums are being played so loud, so they can blind out or block out now your baby now screaming for his life. This is what Israel was involved with. And again, making these commitments and these vows to Molech, it now puts you in contract now with the adversary. We must make sure that we keep our promises and vows to the Father of Yahuah. And Mishpachah, let's just move on. All right, whatever happened in the past is even in the past. We've now been redeemed by the blood of Yahusha and Mashiyach. This is the lesson that I wanted to do today. And in ending, I don't believe that Jephthah burned his daughter. And if he did do it, it was not in the name of the Father of Yahuah. I think I put out enough scriptures where the Father does not deal with human sacrifices. And with that, any questions, anything anybody want to add? I am done with vows and commitments to the Father. All right, so all you firstborns, you understand your rights? Okay, so with that, we want to stand up. Already, if you have anything that you want to close it out with.
Hold on, just a good breakdown, a good lesson. Because I've heard so many people error with this whole sacrifice of the daughter. And I mean, you can't explain it any better than that. Any better than you just did.
Yes, I pray that we get a good understanding of it and what the Father's asking for us. And nobody, don't make no vows you're going to burn up your children now. We're not going to have that. So, Horizon, are there any announcements that needs to be made?
So you know the upcoming festivals. For now we have Pesach, April 18th sundown, and Shabbat, July 28th sundown to July 29th. The other festival dates will be coming soon. We're asking everyone if we can meet up as a Voodoo Tavern House to discuss topics of community living, protecting our homes, and assembly.
Yeah. All right.
Tonight? What?
After 5.
Yeah, I mean, after that. Okay.
Okay, all right. We're going to have our chief, Zakim, blow the shofar 7 times. And we'll have Yahuah the time to end us with prayer. Receive. We pray that it be healthy and nourishing for our bodies. Father, we pray that you Baruch the hands that prepare the food, and we ask all these things in your set apart name, that you continue to Baruch us in your set apart name, keep it safe and sound. We ask all these things in your set apart name, through your Son, Yahushua Mashiyach. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Right.
You want to help me out?
Video.